Parenting fads come and go, right? One minute it's a new sleep hack, the next it's a must-have gadget that promises to give your kid an edge. It leaves you wondering, are we even focusing on the right things? We obsess over test scores and extracurriculars, but what if the true foundation for a happy, successful life isn't something you can measure on a report card? What if the most valuable thing we can give our children isn't financial, but emotional? Well, what if the key to raising successful, emotionally intelligent kids wasn't new at all? What if it was a set of principles passed down through generations of some of the world's most established families? This old money ethos comes from a different perspective. These families learned long ago that fortunes can vanish, but character, that's what lasts. They know that real wealth isn't just about money, it's about resilience. It's that quiet confidence to handle life's storms with grace. In this video, we're unlocking 10 old money secrets for raising truly resilient and emotionally intelligent kids. And don't worry, these aren't about luxury or privilege, they're timeless principles for building a legacy of inner strength. Section 1. Secret number 1. Model calm, measured emotional leadership. The first, and maybe the most important secret, isn't something you teach, it's something you live. Modeling calm, measured emotional leadership. In our high-stress world, it's easy to get as chaotic as the situations we face. Spilled milk triggers a sharp word, a rough day at work leads to a tense evening, a kid's tantrum is met with an adult-sized one. We see it everywhere, and we just call it modern family life. The problem is, our kids are watching. Every single reaction is a lesson. Children learn emotional regulation by mirroring us. When they see volatility, they learn that big emotions are scary and should be met with more chaos. The approach often associated with these established families is different. It's built on discretion and composure, not just in public, but especially at home. This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about showing that feelings can be managed, not just unleashed. Conflicts, especially between parents, are handled in private. Disagreements are problems to solve, not battles to win. The guiding idea is that home should be a sanctuary of emotional security. When that security is constantly broken by outbursts, it creates low-grade anxiety, forcing a child to always be on high alert. So, how do we do this? It starts with a pause. When you feel that surge of frustration, the instinct is to react. The secret is to create a tiny space between the trigger and your response. Take one deep breath. That small step tells your nervous system you're in control. Next, de-escalate. Lower your voice. An angry whisper can be way more effective than a shout. Then, name the feeling and the problem without blame. Instead of, "You're so clumsy, you spilled it again," try, "I see you're upset about the juice. It's a frustrating mess. Let's get a cloth and solve this together." Later, when everyone's calm, you can talk about it. You could say, "I was feeling frustrated when that happened, so I took a breath to calm down before we cleaned it up." This models self-awareness and gives them a script for their own big feelings. The benefit here is huge. It doesn't just stop a tantrum, it builds the architecture of emotional regulation in your child's brain. It teaches them that anger and frustration are normal, manageable parts of life, not catastrophes. You're showing them, with your actions, that they can be the leader of their emotions, not a victim of them. This creates a deep emotional security that becomes the foundation for resilience, confidence, and healthy relationships for the rest of their lives. Section 2. Secret number 2. Practice emotional coaching over dismissal. The second secret flows right from the first, and it tackles a classic mistake we all make: dismissing our kids' feelings. Imagine your child is heartbroken because they weren't invited to a birthday party. Our first instinct is to protect them from pain, so we try to fix it or downplay it. We say, "Don't be sad, it's just a silly party," or "You have other friends." We think we're helping, but our child hears, "Your feeling is wrong." This teaches them to bury their emotions, to believe that some feelings are off limits. Over time, that creates an adult who's disconnected from their own inner world. The old money parenting tradition, with its focus on creating emotionally astute people, flips this on its head. It's all about emotional coaching. This isn't about fixing the problem for them, but using the moment as a teaching opportunity. It's a two-step dance: connect Then redirect. First, and most importantly, you validate the feeling. You see the world from their perspective, even if it seems totally irrational to you. When they're upset about the party, you get on their level. You say, "I can see you're feeling really hurt and left out. That sounds so painful." You're not agreeing that the world is ending, you're just acknowledging that in their world it feels like it is. You're offering empathy. This simple act tells your child, "You're not alone. I'm with you. Your feelings are welcome here." For a kid, feeling understood is the first step to feeling calm. Only after you connect do you move to step 2, labeling and problem solving. You help them find the words. Research noted in journals like Psychological Science has explored how affect labeling, or naming an emotion, can help engage the brain's regulatory centers and dial down distress. You might ask, "It sounds like you're more than just sad. Are you feeling disappointed or maybe a little angry too?" This builds their emotional vocabulary. Once the emotion is named and validated, you can become a collaborator. Notice the word, collaborator, not fixer. You ask, "That's tough. What do you think might help you feel a little better?" Or, "Is this something you want to solve, or do you just need to feel sad for a bit?" This empowers them, teaching them they have agency over their feelings and what comes next. The payoff is profound. Instead of raising kids who either bottle up their feelings or get swamped by them, you're cultivating individuals with real self-awareness. They learn that their emotions are signals, not dictators. This is the core of emotional intelligence, a skill that will serve them far better in life than avoiding a moment of sadness. You're giving them a compass to navigate their own heart. Section 3. Secret number 3. Insist on routines and predictable discipline. The third secret sounds a little less glamorous, but it's the invisible framework for emotional growth, an unwavering commitment to routines and predictable discipline. In many households, life is a constant scramble. Schedules are all over the place, rules are enforced randomly, and consequences depend more on the parent's mood than on anything else. That chaos creates a subtle but constant state of uncertainty for a child. When a kid doesn't know what to expect, their nervous system stays on high alert, which is the enemy of emotional regulation. Established families have long understood that security is a cornerstone of predictability. They operate on the principle that a secure child is a child who is free to learn and develop self-control. Routines aren't seen as rigid, joyless schedules, but as comforting rhythms that anchor the day. Simple, consistent patterns for meals, homework, and bedtime let a child relax. They know what's coming next, which reduces the friction that so often causes meltdowns. Research suggests that children with regular routines are often associated with stronger self-regulation skills. This applies powerfully to discipline. In a reactive house, a broken vase might get a furious scream one day and a tired sigh the next. This inconsistency is confusing. The child learns to fear the parent's mood, not to understand their own actions. The approach we're talking about favors discipline that is steady, predictable, and unemotional. The core household rules are clear, and so are the consequences. The rule isn't just behave, it's we use kind words in this house. The consequence isn't a random punishment, but a pre-agreed action, like taking 5 minutes to cool down and then apologizing. To do this, you have to do the work up front. Sit down as a family and agree on 3 or 4 core rules. For each one, establish a clear, logical consequence. When a rule is broken, the parent's job is to be a calm enforcer of the system. The tone is firm but fair. You know the rule about finishing homework before video games. That means no games tonight. We can try again tomorrow. No angry lectures, no negotiation. The system does the work. This predictability creates a sense of fairness and teaches cause and effect. It shifts the dynamic from "I'm in trouble with my mom" to "I am responsible for my choice." The long-term benefit is a child who develops what psychologists call an internal locus of control. They see that their choices shape their outcomes. The consistency of routines and discipline builds a powerful sense of safety, patience, and respect for boundaries. This frees up their emotional and cognitive energy to focus on bigger things, learning, creating, and becoming a responsible person. Section 4. Secret number 4. Teach service and discretion as core values. The fourth secret is a powerful antidote to the entitlement so many of us fear. It's the active teaching of service and discretion. In our social media-saturated world, there's this constant pressure to broadcast every achievement and good deed. We celebrate public displays of generosity, and kids can learn that being good is about the applause it gets, not the value of the act itself. That's a shaky foundation for self-esteem. The ethos often associated with old money approaches this from a different angle, rooted in responsibility and humility. The idea is that privilege of any kind, whether it's money, talent, or just good luck, comes with a responsibility to contribute. Service isn't a one-off for a school requirement, it's woven into family life. And just as important as the act is the manner, doing it with discretion. Discretion is the art of doing the right thing without needing an audience. It's the quiet confidence that comes from an internal value system, not from chasing external praise. Practically, this starts with reframing helping as a family norm. It can begin with small chores that contribute to the household. As kids get older, it expands outward, volunteering at a food bank, helping an elderly neighbor, or joining a community cleanup. The key is that these aren't framed as amazing, heroic acts, but as normal parts of what your family does. The conversation isn't about "look how good we are," but about the needs of the community. This naturally grows empathy. Teaching discretion is more subtle. It's mostly taught by example. Parents model low-key giving, maybe donating to a cause without announcing it. It's also taught by discouraging boasting. When a child achieves something, they're praised, but they're also taught to acknowledge others. You played a great game. Who on your team really helped make that happen? It also involves teaching them not to flaunt what they have. They learn that talking about money or status is considered poor form, not because it's a secret, but because it creates division, which is the opposite of social grace. The benefit of this focus on service and discretion is that it builds a child's character from the inside out. Meaningful opportunities to help others can promote empathy, social responsibility, and leadership skills. When you combine that with discretion, you unplug your child from the addictive cycle of needing external validation. They learn to get their self-worth from their actions and integrity, not from likes and shares. This creates an unshakable, quiet confidence rooted in the knowledge that their value is defined by their character, not what others think of them. Section 5. Secret 5. Prioritize experiences, culture, and conversation. The fifth secret is a deliberate choice to invest in a different kind of wealth, the wealth of knowledge, perspective, and human connection. Our consumer culture makes it easy to think that giving our kids the best means buying them the most. The latest gadgets and designer clothes become stand-ins for love and opportunity. The problem is, stuff provides fleeting happiness and can crowd out the very things that build a rich inner life. A kid surrounded by passive entertainment has little reason to develop curiosity or the art of conversation. Established families, who have often seen the limits of material wealth, tend to pivot. They prioritize doing over having. The family budget, and more importantly, family time, are pointed toward experiences that broaden the mind. This isn't just about fancy trips, it's a mindset that values cultural exposure and meaningful dialogue above all else. A Saturday at a museum, a hike in a state park, or even just sharing a love for classic movies becomes the currency of a rich childhood. To make this happen, first, actively pursue cultural exposure. This builds what you could call intellectual and human capital, which is seen as far more valuable than financial capital. Make it a habit to explore ideas together. Read books that are a little challenging and discuss the characters' choices. Visit an art museum and ask questions. What do you think the artist was trying to say? If you could give this painting a different title, what would it be? This teaches them to think critically and see the world through different lenses. Second, and maybe most importantly, revive the family dinner table as a screen-free zone. For many families, this is a sacred space. It's not for gossip, but for a nightly seminar on ideas, ethics, and perspective. Guide the conversation away from "what did you do today?" to more interesting questions. What was the most fascinating thing you learned today? Did you see anyone show kindness? If you were in charge of the world, what one problem would you try to solve? These conversations do more than build vocabulary. They teach respectful debate, listening skills, and how to be both interested and interesting. The benefits here are huge. Prioritizing experiences fosters a love of learning for its own sake. Most importantly, the ritual of daily conversation strengthens family bonds and hones the social and emotional skills they need to navigate the world. You're teaching your child not just to consume culture, but to engage with it. Not just to talk, but to connect. You're giving them a lifetime of inner resources. We're halfway through, and if these ideas are hitting home, take a second to support the channel. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Your support helps us keep making content designed to build a stronger, more intentional family life. All right, let's get back to it. Section 6. Secret 6. Teach delayed gratification and resource stewardship. Secret number 6 takes on one of the biggest challenges of modern life: the death of delayed gratification. We live in a world of instant downloads and next-day shipping. This culture of now, while convenient, can be toxic for a child's developing brain. It trains them to expect instant rewards and can stop them from developing the patience and impulse control they need for any long-term success. If a child never has to wait or work for something, they never build that mental muscle. Old money traditions are often acutely aware of this. To counter it, they intentionally create experiences that teach delayed gratification and financial stewardship. You've probably heard of the famous marshmallow test. While later research has shown its predictive power is weaker once you account for factors like a child's home environment and socioeconomic status, the core idea remains valuable. The ability to manage impulses is an important skill. The practical way to do this is to get comfortable with your child wanting something they can't have right now. Instead of buying the toy at the store today, you can say, "That's a great thing to want. Let's add it to your birthday list," or "Let's make a plan for you to earn the money for that." This simple act introduces the idea of waiting and planning. As they get older, this evolves into teaching them to be stewards of resources, not just consumers. A classic method is the 3-jar system for allowance: spend, save, and give. A portion of their money goes into each. The save jar is for a bigger item they want, forcing them to wait and work toward a goal. The give jar ties back to the principle of service. Some say this method was even used by John Rockefeller, who taught his kids to keep a ledger to track their money. You can also involve them in family budgeting. We have $50 for our outing today. We can do this one expensive thing or these 2 less expensive things. What do you think is the best choice? This teaches trade-offs and responsible decision-making. The long-term benefit is huge. By teaching delayed gratification, you're strengthening their impulse control. By teaching them financial stewardship, you demystify money. It becomes a tool to be managed, not a source of identity or a cure for boredom. You're building the discipline, responsibility, and perseverance that lead to a fulfilling life, no matter their financial circumstances. Secret number 7 might sound old-fashioned, but it's a powerhouse for developing social intelligence, making manners a set of automatic, everyday habits. In our increasingly casual world, formal etiquette has faded. Some see it as stuffy or inauthentic. The modern view is often, who cares if you use the right fork as long as you're a good person? But that misunderstands the whole point of manners. At their core, manners are practical empathy. They're a toolkit designed to make other people feel respected and comfortable. This is a distinction that old money traditions really lean into. Social graces aren't a performance, they're a key part of social and emotional intelligence. The ability to navigate situations with poise and consideration opens doors in life. Good manners are the social lubricant that makes interactions smooth. They're a sign of respect, showing you're aware of the people around you. The key is to treat them as everyday micro-rituals. Please and thank you are non-negotiable. Making eye contact is a requirement. Greeting people properly is practiced. A powerful tradition is the handwritten thank you note. In an age of fleeting texts, sitting down to write and mail a note of gratitude is a profound lesson in thoughtfulness. It tells the person they were worth your time. Conversation skills are also a huge focus. Kids are taught, often at the dinner table, the art of give and take. They learn to listen without interrupting, to ask thoughtful questions, and to steer conversations away from awkward topics. They're taught to remember and use people's names. These are not innate skills. They're learned and practiced, like a sport. The home is the training ground. You can even role play. What would you do if you were talking to someone and their friend walked up? How could you include them? The benefit is a child who moves through the world with a quiet, easy confidence. They aren't crippled by social anxiety because they have a toolkit for almost any interaction. Their good manners put people at ease, which naturally draws them to them. This ability to make others feel comfortable is a form of social power. By teaching manners as empathy, you're giving them a secret key that unlocks smoother, more successful interactions for their entire lives. Section 8. Secret number 8. Provide safe challenges and allow for productive failure. The 8th secret is one of the hardest for modern parents because it goes against our protective instincts. It's the principle of providing safe challenges and, critically, allowing for productive failure. Today's parenting culture is often about smoothing the path. We're the snowplow parents, clearing every obstacle so our kids never struggle or fail. If they forget their homework, we race it to school. If they don't make the team, we call the coach. The problem is, a life without struggle is a life without strength. A child who is never allowed to fail never learns how to get back up. They develop fragility, not resilience. Families with a long-term view on character see challenges differently. They're not threats, they're essential training for life. They know competence is earned through effort. So they intentionally create situations where kids have to stretch their abilities and, yes, sometimes fall short. The key is the safe challenge. This isn't about throwing your kid in the deep end. It's about giving them age-appropriate problems to solve, just outside their comfort zone, while the stakes are still low. How do you do this? It starts by systematically handing over responsibility. A young child might be put in charge of feeding the dog. That's their job. If they forget, you don't swoop in. Instead, you might ask later, "How's Buddy looking? Does he seem hungry?" This prompts the child to see the consequence and fix it themselves. An older child might be tasked with planning part of a family trip, researching activities, comparing costs, and making an itinerary. The most critical part is how you respond to failure. When the child fails, when they forget to feed the dog or their planned activity is a bust, the goal is not to shame or rescue. The goal is to debrief. You become a coach, not a critic. You get curious. Well, that didn't go as planned, did it? What do you think happened? What could we try differently next time? This reframes failure from a verdict on their worth to a valuable piece of data. It normalizes setbacks as part of learning. It teaches them to analyze, adapt, and try again. The benefit here is immeasurable. You are raising a child who isn't afraid to try. You are cultivating grit, resourcefulness, and a realistic sense of their own abilities. By letting them solve their own problems, you are sending the most powerful message of all. I believe you can handle this. This builds deep, authentic self-confidence. Confidence born from the real experience of overcoming challenges. You're giving them the gift of anti-fragility, the ability not just to bounce back, but to get stronger because of setbacks. Section 9. Secret number 9. Teach money as a curriculum, not a taboo. The 9th secret demystifies a topic that's shrouded in anxiety in many homes: money. For lots of families, money is either a taboo subject whispered about in stressful tones, or it's a source of status and spectacle. In the first case, kids grow up financially illiterate and anxious. In the second, they can grow up entitled, believing money is the measure of a person's worth. Both extremes fail to prepare a child for a healthy financial life. The approach often found in old money traditions treats money like a practical subject to be taught over time, like reading or math. The goal is to foster financial literacy and the value of stewardship over spectacle. The core principle is age-appropriate transparency and practicality. This curriculum starts early and simply. At the grocery store, you can give a young child a small budget for a few items. We have $5 for fruit. Should we get the big bag of apples or the smaller box of berries? What's a better value? This introduces budgeting and trade-offs. As they get older, you can share age-appropriate info about household costs. The reason we turn off lights is that our electricity bill was X this month. Every bit we save can go toward our vacation fund. This connects their actions to a financial reality. A cornerstone of this education is teaching them to manage their own money, starting with an allowance that is tied to their own financial responsibilities. As mentioned, the spend, save, give jar model is a great start. As they become teens, you might give them a larger monthly allowance that they have to budget for their own clothes and social outings. This is a safe way for them to make financial decisions and mistakes. If they blow their whole clothing budget on one pair of expensive sneakers, they learn a natural consequence that no lecture could teach. Your role is to be a consultant, not a bailout fund. You can help them figure out where they went wrong, but you don't rescue them. The long-term benefit is true financial competence and a healthy relationship with money. You're raising an adult who understands how to earn, save, budget, and give. By treating money as a practical life skill, not a source of status or stress, you separate your child's identity from their possessions. They learn money is a tool for building a life, not a way of keeping score. Section 10. Secret number 10. Cultivate discretion, solitude, and a deep internal confidence. The final secret is maybe the most countercultural of all. It's the deliberate cultivation of discretion, solitude, and a deep internal confidence. We live in an era of performative living, where every thought and experience is broadcast for public approval. This creates intense pressure to be on all the time and measure your worth by likes and comments. The danger is a dependency on external validation, leaving people feeling anxious and empty when the applause fades. The old money ethos prizes the opposite, a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from within. It doesn't need to be loud or prove itself. It's rooted in self-knowledge and a strong internal value system. This kind of inner strength isn't built in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments. It's built through discretion and solitude. Discretion is keeping things private, not just wealth, but personal problems and strong opinions. Solitude in this context isn't loneliness, it's the practice of being comfortable with your own thoughts. To implement this, parents have to model it. They demonstrate discretion by not oversharing on social media and by handling family matters privately. They create a home that values quiet and reflection. This can mean scheduling regular quiet time where screens are away and everyone is encouraged to read, draw, or just be still with their thoughts. These moments are crucial for deep thinking and developing a rich inner life. Furthermore, you can actively guide your kids away from the addiction to external validation. This means changing how you give praise. Instead of broad praise like "you're the smartest kid in the world," offer specific, private praise that focuses on process and character. "I was so impressed by how you kept working on that tough math problem. That showed real perseverance." This teaches them to value their effort. For teens, it means having open conversations about the illusion of social media and encouraging them to develop their own internal standards for happiness. Ask them, forget what it looks like. How does it feel to you? Are you proud of the effort you put in? The ultimate benefit is a child who grows into an adult with a strong, stable core. They aren't easily swayed by peer pressure because they have an internal compass. Their self-worth isn't dependent on others, making them more resilient to criticism. By teaching them the value of solitude, you give them the gift of self-awareness. You are cultivating a person of substance, depth, and quiet strength, an individual who knows who they are, whether anyone is watching or not. This internal confidence is the most precious inheritance you can provide. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? We've talked about modeling calm leadership, the power of letting our kids fail safely, and teaching them to serve others without needing applause. These 10 secrets aren't quick fixes. They're a philosophy. They represent a shift away from trendy parenting hacks and towards the timeless work of building character. It's an investment in your child's emotional bank account that will pay dividends for the rest of their life. You're not just raising a child who can succeed, you're raising a child who can flourish, someone who can navigate life with grace, build meaningful relationships, and find a deep sense of purpose. This path takes patience and consistency, but the reward is the greatest legacy a parent can leave. A child who grows into an adult of substance, strength, and true character. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these secrets resonated with you the most? Is there one you're already doing, or one you feel inspired to try? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights are a huge part of this community. And for more content on building a life of purpose, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching.